Hi everyone, we're Team 9. I'm Steve Scarpeta, we have Payan Lin, Heather Cotter, Doug DeSessa, and Tejaswini Mane. We're here to show you that leadership enables success. We conducted extensive research and we interviewed people out in the field, both subordinates and leaders, and we found the power associated with strong leadership, some of the pitfalls associated with weak leadership, and the benefits of incrementally improving your leadership. This first slide shows the value of leadership. It talks about strong corporate culture. So, professors John Cotter and James Heskett, they wrote a book called Corporate Culture and Performance, and in it, they tried to determine what differentiated companies from each other and how important a strong corporate culture was. And what they found was that companies that had cultures in which they highly valued employees, customers, and owners, and encouraged leadership from everyone in the firm significantly outperformed the average company. The most notable stat we noticed was that net income growth was actually 750% greater for these companies relative to the average. Now, we also looked at a study done by McKinsey & Company, which linked leadership development to higher profit per employee. So what they did is they looked at global talent management characteristics. They focused in on 10. They surveyed a bunch of employees, about 450, and through their surveys they found that people that were more engaged in these practices tended to be associated with companies that were more profitable as well. The most important characteristic that we noticed was that companies that emphasize the development and management of global leaders were much more likely to be in the top third in financial performance as well. This study is done by Deloitte, and what they found is that analysts, they tend to utilize leadership in their stock valuations. Specifically, they reached out to 445 investment analysts across 6 countries, and they noticed that 52% of these analysts tend to factor leadership routinely into their analysis. Now, when leadership was particularly strong, 80% of the people incorporated it in their analysis, and when it was particularly weak, 80% incorporated it as well. And that's what the graph's showing, and it's showing the premium associated with really good leadership and the discount associated with really poor leadership. And the difference between the two is 35.5% on average, quite a significant difference. Now, in the study, they also looked at how leadership differentiated across industries. What they found is, across all the industries they looked at, is that it drove equity regardless, but that it was particularly powerful in industries that had a standardized range of products. Now, sometimes the investment analysts were a little bit conservative in their estimates because it was difficult to quantify the impact of leadership. So in some of these industries, it might have a bigger effect than noted, but they had trouble quantifying it. This last slide regarding the financial impact of leadership has to do with Jim Collins. He conducted a study, and he published his results in the book Good to Great. It was a 5-year project in which he was trying to determine how a good company can become a great company. So what made a great company? Well, it was a company that over the course of 15 years had returns that were 3 times as high as the stock market average, which is pretty darn significant. What he found is that 11 of the 1,435 companies that he studied met this criteria, so a very small amount. And when he tried to delve into this, try to figure out what these 11 companies had in common, he noted that each of them was renowned for their leadership. In fact, they had what he called level 5 leadership, which is this paradoxical blend between humility and will that enables a company to transition from good to great. And he says companies just don't make this transition without level 5 leaderships. They just don't. Now we're going to transition over to Heather, who's going to delve into the leadership challenge.
Through 30 years of research, the Leadership Challenge lays out the path to good leadership. The Leadership Challenge, an academic resource, breaks developing leadership into 5 pieces. We have model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and encourage the heart. Modeling the way is where leaders establish principles concerning the way people should be treated and the way goals should be pursued. They create standards of excellence and then set an example for others to follow. Inspiring a shared vision is where leaders passionately believe that they can make a difference. They envision the future, creating an ideal and unique image of what the organization can become. Challenge the process. Now, with challenge the process, leaders search for opportunities to change the status quo. They look for innovative ways to improve the organization. Enable others to act. Leaders foster and build spirited teams. Enabling others to act means that they actively involve others. Encouraging the heart is simply accomplishing extraordinary things in organizations. To keep hope and determination alive, leaders recognize contributions that individuals achieve every single day within their organization. These 5 practices, when present in organizations, promote successful business and strengthen teamwork and also develop positive leadership growth. The leadership industry is a $50 billion industry. We see the relevance of leadership through conversation with 10 high-level professionals from multiple industries. These industries include IT, education, banking, and several other industries. To tie the academic research in with our own research, we wanted to present real-life examples to highlight these themes. In particular, we identified inspire a shared vision, enable others to act, and challenge the process. Themes of great leadership in the marketplace today are all represented by what I just stated. These leaders sought to develop a clear vision within their organizations. They empowered their employees through enabling them to act. Additionally, they were not afraid to challenge the process. Our conversations indicate that these 3 themes can both severely enhance but also damage the success of the company. Now we will demonstrate how these practices apply.
So we've shared with you now some statistics and some academic research that we've done, but now what we'd like to do is really share a story with you about some of the individuals that we interviewed. So this particular story I want to share with you is about an individual who we interviewed, whose name, we'll call her Carol. She has 25 years of banking experience. She's an executive in the banking world. And what she shared with us was when she was the manager of Community First National Bank, a branch in Denver, she shared with us how the culture at the bank was one of support in which empowered employees from the teller all the way up to the branch manager to make their own decisions. You were never second guessed on your decision. However, if mistakes were made, they got together and helped grow the business and grow you as an individual. This helped grow the business of the bank to become a $6 billion bank by the mid-2000s. However, in 2005, the bank was purchased by Bank of the West. And what Carol shared with us was that the new management that came in, the way they treated everyone, was more of a cog in the machine, more of just a number on the page. And Carol mentioned, in the banking industry, every time new regulations come out, you have to adapt to change. However, within 18 months, every single employee, including Carol, had turned over at the branch. And while this might be significant from a morale standpoint, we're going to show you in a little bit how this actually affects the bottom line and how it can be very expensive to you as a business. So before we get to that, I want to share with you a report that the Harvard Business Review put together on how effective leaders actually increase engagement and commitment with employees. We're talking about empowering our employees and enabling our employees to act. But as you can see from this graph, the more effective leaders, according to the Harvard Business Review, help increase employee engagement and employee commitment. Well, what does that actually mean, though? So moving on to the next graph, the Corporate Leadership Council actually conducted additional research and found that committed and engaged employees actually perform 20% better than their counterparts in terms of efficiency. So this is significant from your bottom line just because you can increase performance just by enabling your employees. And this was followed up by additional research by the Corporate Leadership Council on the following slide. What they found was that for every 10% that you increase employee engagement and employee commitment, you can actually reduce turnover by 9%. So what we can see here is that by empowering and engaging your employees, what you can actually do is reduce turnover by 87%. But again, why is this so significant? So the Center for American Progress actually found that on average, Americans make around $50,000, and turnover actually can cost a company up to 20% of that of their salary. Additionally, an executive like Carol, what could actually lead to is 213% costs based on her salary to the company. So this is significant because if you have employee turnover, as I said before, it might decrease morale, but it's actually going to cost you a lot of money in the long run. And additionally, it can hurt just all the institutional knowledge that you'll no longer have. So this is just one way that enabling employees can actually create additional shareholder value for you. Tejwani is now going to take you through what developing a shared vision can do for you as well.
see here are not just the words. These are the vision statements of some very successful companies. What's important here are not these vision statements, but what the leaders have done to help them drive their companies to succeed with these compelling visions. As we have already discussed, strong leadership starts with strong vision and inspiring others to follow that vision. Lifting people to a higher level of motivation and continuously enforcing that they can make a difference in the world is what exemplary leaders like Jeff Bezos and Steve Jobs have been doing. Amazon under Jeff Bezos' vision was able to grab a market value of $174 billion just in 20 years of time. Leaders like Jack Welch at GE, CEO from 1981 to 2001, had a strong vision of where they wanted their companies to go and inspired others to follow him. He empowered his employees through the development of Session C, an educational rotation to develop leaders within the company. Under his leadership and through his vision, GE's average yearly returns grew by an average of 23% each year. Also, GE outperformed the stock market by 2.8 to 1 from 1986 to 2000. This illustrates how through inspiring a shared vision, Welch was able to create a climate for extreme growth within GE. Now, Payan will walk us through the importance of challenge the process and how it adds value to the organizations.
So, great leaderships involved taking risk and challenging the process for the future. And it happens everywhere in every position. We talked with high school chemical teachers who was a chairperson in his leadership committee in his school. He mentioned that in his school actually, the state test scores were proving faster than they were in state, which is kind of good things. However, they still noticed that a weak correlations between class performance and test score. So, with the help of a new head, they adjust the curriculums and allow teachers to do some adjustments in course designs, which include the training sensations. Although the test score is not available now, a lot of teachers start to notice that students actually engage more in class. The essential of leaderships exists even in different cultures. We chat with the general managers of remanufactured toner companies in Taiwan. He mentioned that they actually made a board decision to put all their market budget to a non-traditional brand promotion plan. They cooperate with a TV program and make a documentary called Smiling Factory, which only focuses on re-employed mothers' daily lives and the work conditions under the chairperson's concept. The impact after broadcasting is out of their expectations. The sales of the products went high, the satisfaction of the employee went high, which led the employee willing to engage themselves more in their jobs and do more self-proposals. And it leads to the reductions of product cost. Both these two stories shows that challenging the process is one of the important ways to create and maintain the success of the organizations. And everyone have ability and chance to get involved in it. In the last part of our presentations, we want to record you a most famous example of how leaderships affect imitations and the energy of organizations. Let's meet Apple. You can see in the chart that during 80 to 85, the imitations prevalence averaged 32% under Steve Jobs' leadership. However, it drops below zero without him. After Steve Jobs returned, it jumped up to 50% again, which led to the big success of Apple. It's a time for organizations to embrace leadership as a core value, and it's your turn to get involved. Look at the people around you. Look at us. We are ready to help you to put leadership into practice. And now, what is your call? Thank you.